really into it.
Oh, we're so live. I think this is my first live.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, welcome into Instagram Live. You're letting our followers know.
Oh, so they won't see this when they come through?
Well, when it's posted on our YouTube channel.
That's fun. The beauty of editing. Oh my goodness, hello.
Hello, welcome. We'll wait for a few more people to come in. Hello. Hello.
Hi guys. So, my name's Emily. I'm going to join the Instagram Live this week. I work pretty closely with Nikki, and we're going to answer a whole bunch of your questions about getting started and MOQs and development and what you need done. So fire away with anything that you have.
Yeah, so we have questions that we're going to be answering throughout. Hello, welcome in. And then, of course, if you have any questions that come up throughout this Instagram Live, send them through. We will answer them. And then, of course, if you want to get in touch with either of us, you can email info@indiesource.com.
Mm-hmm.
We check it all day, every day.
She's also Nicole at IndieSource, and I'm Emily at IndieSource. Our emails are all real easy to remember. So get in touch if you want to get stuff started. What do you want to jump into first?
We can jump into a question that we get asked every single week is, what is our MOQ for production?
It's 10,000 units per style. No, it's 300 units per style. You can break that down into sizes and colors. So we generally want to keep to about 100 per color. Don't do 10 colors. That just messes with everything. And you can mix and match sizes as well. So from like extra small to extra large.
Yeah. We say 3 colors max just because we run into fabric minimums if we do more than that. So instead of being slapped with a heavy surcharge for cutting half a roll,
yeah,
we just order the whole thing.
And then also like you have machines that require like 4 or 5 spools of thread per machine, and when you have so many colors you have to change out that thread all the time, and that takes a fair amount of time, and that'll just add to your cost, and it's just, quite frankly, it's a bitch. We got a question from It's Just Quasi. You live in Brooklyn. As far as the initial consultation, it's an extensive process with a lot of bases to cover. How do we go about that? Good question. Do you want to take this one?
Sure. So we work with a lot of different people who do not live in LA or on the West Coast.
Or in like the country.
Yeah. So essentially we would do your development meeting either over the phone, we have video chat capabilities. We would have you mail us reference samples, or if you have prototypes already made of garments that you want to create, and then we'd have you fill out a development cheat sheet, which if you need, you can shoot us an email and I'll send one to you. And then I think
it can be downloaded from our website as well.
It can be. And I would sit down with you and go over all of the nitty-gritty details of your garments you want to develop. We'd talk about things like fabric, fit, and pattern making details, construction details, labeling, really everything we would need to know, and then from there we'd provide you a quote. If we move forward with development, we would have your project manager set up times weekly to go over all of your different progress, and they would send things to you via mail. So we can definitely work with you on whatever's going to be best. You're never required to be in LA for the process.
I think in terms of getting everything started, it's really important to have a clear, succinct idea of your collection and exactly what you want to build. You don't need to be able to draw, you just need to be able to communicate effectively, like, this is the fabric I want, but I want it like with more stretch, or I want it to be heavier, and not just like, oh, maybe I want to do this thing, or do you think this looks cool? It's not up to us to decide what does or doesn't look cool. We are here, or what will work in your industry, or your market, should I say. It's up to us to execute the technical of your creative and your vision. So to come in with clear, succinct ideas of what you want, and then we can really help you.
Yeah, definitely. Welcome in to all of the people who have joined since we started. Of course, if you have questions as we're going through, please chat them through. We'd be happy to answer them. Maybe this is a good question for you. Why am I paying so much for a sample? It's a question I get asked almost every day.
So, if if you have everything ready to go for production, we just need to sell a production sample. That's very different to when we are testing and developing everything. So we create a pattern and a pattern card, which is essentially your recipe, and we'll get your ingredients, which is all your fabric and trim, and our sample makers will spend sometimes an entire day or a day and a half making a sample and following that recipe and that pattern to the T. And if there's anything missing, we go through and fix that. So that extra $400, $500, $600 you spend in development means that you don't waste $10,000 in production, because your production sewers are not gonna come back and say, hey, there's a missing like cut sleeve here. They're just gonna sew what's in front of them because it's an assembly line, and they're not there to ask questions or do whatever. They're there because that's the product and that's all it is, you know. And people do weird things, so sometimes weird things are missing. So you're paying for us to make sure you have an infrastructure that, regardless of whether your order is starting out at 300 or as you grow and you can order 300,000, that information can stay the same and you know it's good.
So let me ask you this. When I go through development, the only thing I get is one sample?
No, you get so much more than one sample. You build an infrastructure for your company, for your business. And per round, yeah, you'll only get one sample. If you want more, you can pay us an exorbitant amount of money to make samples in different colorways that don't necessarily work. But we would much rather have you pay in one color to perfect the fit. And then if you want other colorways later on, we can, once that fit is perfect and ready for production. But really what you're paying for is for us to build you that one thing and get it perfect, so that from paying $200 to $600 per sample, you're paying like $20 to $80 or whatever garment you're constructing per unit when you actually produce. And that's what gives you like a better return on your investment.
Definitely. Again, welcome in everyone who's just joining. If you have questions throughout this Instagram Live, send them through. We'd be happy to answer them.
We'd be so angry to answer your questions.
Alrighty. So another question that I've gotten asked a few times is, what size should I use for my reference sample? That is such a good question.
Yeah, that is really good. Sometimes it depends on, are you fitting on yourself or are you using a fit model? A general rule of thumb is it's good to do it in a size in the middle of your size range, right? So if you are going to produce extra small to extra large, do a medium or a large, or something in the middle, because it's a lot harder to go either way of that. If you were producing in like extended size range, once you pass 2X, it's actually a whole new style and pattern altogether because the proportions change. So you want to do something again in the middle there. But if you are a large or an extra large and you can't get a fit model, or you don't want to spend let's say $200 an hour on a fit model, sometimes you just have to do those things.
You are welcome. For development, we would quote you out for sourcing if you have material.
Hang on, we should ask the question first.
Oh.
So we've been asked, if we've already sourced fabrics, how would you work with that? Is it even possible? The answer is yes. It's very, very possible.
Yeah. We work with people all the time. We just wouldn't include that in your development quote, like sourcing. If you needed trim sourcing, then we would put like you want probably a retainer model for that, which we would talk further in your development meeting. But we work with people all the time, especially people who are using like dead stock, who want to source their own material. It's completely fine.
Yeah, every brand's really, really different. So for us, it's about assessing what you do, and we're not going to charge you for a service that we're not going to do for you. So what do you need, and what gaps do we need to fill in, and let's go from there. That's why it's hard for us to give price ranges over the phone, or when we don't have a clear idea of what your project is. We need to understand everything so that A, we don't overquote you, and B, also we don't underquote you because we're still a business.
Yes, very true. Emily, do we work with untraditional fabric like chainmail?
Chainmail, probably not. Non-traditional fabric, yeah. I just saw some pineapple leather actually, and I finally got in touch with that, which was really cool. It's probably on the higher end of any kind of plant-based leather. It's really awesome if you are looking at sustainability and working with a leather that feels a lot closer to leather but is not killing an animal. definitely reach out to us about that. But it's about, they're a European company and it's about £50 a yard. So it's a lot of money. But is it worth it to your business? That's another thing you have to assess. As long as we can cut and sew it, yes. Unless it's denim or denim or full-on leather.
Mm-hmm.
But no chainmail. Please don't do chainmail. That's scary.
Do you do cut and sew?
Yes. That's a good 70% of our business is cut and sew. So while a lot of you guys here are coming to us starting with development, we'll then move on into cut and sew. Cut and sew just refers to production, the cutting and sewing of your garment.
Mm-hmm. Which we have a production checklist, which I think you can download on the website too, which is all the things we would need to move into cut and sew.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the things on the list, you would fall within development, which is fine. We will help you get those things to move into cut and sew.
Yeah. We don't want to, even if you're just missing like one tiny element of the puzzle to move into production, we're going to classify you as development so that things, if you haven't completed absolutely everything, production should just run smoothly. And if you're missing that, it makes things really difficult to move through the process because manufacturing is a weak-linked industry. So if you miss one tiny thing, it messes up the whole entire assembly line. So while you're not paying for full development, we just want to finish everything up, make sure it's perfect, and then produce everything in volume. Nikki, do you ever manufacture accessories as well? If so, which ones?
You can. Not not jewelry, or like leather things like belts or leather bracelets, but if it's like a canvas tote bag, something we could do, like
we've done wristbands,
like sleeves.
Yeah,
I guess
like
that's an accessory.
fake sleeves or fabric wristbands and stuff like that. No hard accessories.
Yeah.
If it's fabric for the most part, yes.
Headbands. No socks.
No socks. Socks and like fully fashioned knit sweaters actually require a different machine. There are a few places in the US that do that. They have really high minimums and they're really expensive, but the majority of those machines are out in China.
But in short, yes and no. We can do accessories.
So no caps or beanies. No caps, no hard caps, but yes, beanies. If it's a cut and sew beanie, yes. If it's a knitted beanie, nah.
Awesome. Welcome in to the people who have just joined. Thank you. This is our, fifth Instagram now?
I don't know, it's my first. I don't
Emily's
do these things.
first. She's going to be making cameos throughout the rest of the time doing these. Okay.
St. Glory Street says,
would you recommend your services to independent designers that are just starting their brand? As far as the cost of development and production, is it cost effective for someone just starting out?
I think that can be really subjective. Our whole goal is to make sure that you have a return on your investment. Our business isn't successful unless your business is. And quite frankly, like the first development and production run we do with a brand doesn't really do a lot for us financially. What does is helping you grow so that the third, fourth, and fifth go around, once we understand how we work, you are starting to grow and order a little bit more. That's really when things start to get lucrative for both of us. We work with a lot of independent designers starting out. It really just depends on how you operate. We're not the right fit for everybody, so if we're not, we'll tell you, and that's okay. But let's have a chat about it.
Definitely. This is a huge topic of discussion in the office. Why is it important to know your retail price when starting out?
It's really, really, really important. Your retail price comes before any cost of goods. I don't care what you think or whatever, because regardless of how much your product costs to make, your target demographic is still only going to pay a certain amount for it, right? If you're targeting like college kids and like sororities and fraternities or whatever else, and then you make like $600 jacket, not a lot of kids are going to buy that unless they have an aggressive amount of funding from their parents. And I know I sure didn't when I went to university. So understanding your market and what they're going to pay for things first, that means when we're developing, we can say, okay, if construction sits here, what kind of gap do we have for fabric and trim? so that when we go looking for like the materials for you, we have that in mind and we can make you a better product.
Yeah, we're not going to source you $14 a yard fabric if you can't afford it, because literally 10 times out of 10, that's going to be the fabric you love most.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, because it is really delicious.
Yes. All right, so we got a couple more questions in here. So Powell Simon Brand asked, do you all act as partners to help the designer to clearly articulate their brand, or must they have a complete vision?
If you want to hire parts for design, that's a little bit of a different service. You bring us a creative and we'll execute the technical. Like, if you can kind of halfway communicate that you want to buckle somewhere or whatever it is, but you don't know all of the terminology that goes like industry jargon or whatever, that's okay. We don't need that. But in terms, like, you're starting a business, and if you do need to have a clear vision for your business. And if you don't, like, maybe you just need to take a bit more time and figure that out, do a little bit more research, and understand what's going to work for you as a brand and a business.
Yeah. Do you produce swimwear?
So much swimwear.
Yes.
Like, a brand, like a brand, a very diverse brands, should I say? I'm trying to learn how to talk still. Really, really diverse. Like, sometimes we'll have a billion like men's underwear brand and like some like baby clothes and swimwear and athletic. We've made more leggings than I've said no to going to the gym, quite frankly. So, and like men's and women's contemporary, and we've worked with a couple inventors and stuff like that. So yeah, we can do those things.
Seen it all.
Mm-hmm.
We get asked a lot if we do kids wear.
We actually own a kids brand now. We saw an opportunity there, and we've wanted to invest in that for quite some time. And so now we have a kids brand that we work with, and they do like mostly wholesale stuff. So it's really fun and very, very cute to have so much more glitter in the office now.
Super cute, literally. We melt every day. Perfect. Let's see here. This is a question I've been asked a few times recently.
Mm-hmm.
How involved can I be in the development process?
We don't like you involved at all. We don't know. It's really hands-on. There's nothing done without your approval. There's no point moving on to another step, especially when you're spending that money. We would never want to take on that risk, for one. And also, like, it's your brand. We want you to be successful, and you're not going to be successful unless you know everything that's going on. So you give us an idea of what you want, and we'll exclude certain options based on what is or isn't in stock, what might be too cheap or too expensive for you, and a number of other different factors. But once those options are presented to you, it's totally up to you and what you want.
Yeah.
You have to make those decisions. It's your brand.
Yeah. Do you guys offer in-person meetings?
Yeah, so many. So many.
We would prefer that you set up a time to come in rather than just dropping by. We are very busy throughout the day, and we want to make sure that we have time set to actually talk to you, to understand what you're looking at making, where we can jump in. So it's better to just shoot us an email, give us a call, and then we'd be happy to put you on our calendar and sit down with you, show your space, show you samples that we've made.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Our space is really dope. Book a time.
We highly recommend it. Plus, you get to come meet
These gals.
We're pretty cool. Okay, perfect.
Oh, here we go. We have a question. Oh, so that means you can fly me out for a meeting? Yeah, sure. We'll bill you later on. But yeah, if you want to get flown out, we'll figure it out.
All right. So, what should I have prepared before starting my development or booking the meeting?
Everything. Like, all of your ideas. Obviously, you don't have to have it. It's the same. You don't have to have any of the technical stuff done. But you do need to have a clear idea of... A really easy example for pro style is like if we're going to say, hey, I want to make a t-shirt like this, but this one's a long sleeve, I want to have it short sleeve and I want it cut off here. And you can use tape or pins or write on it, that's fine. And then if I don't like the fabric of this t-shirt, I want the fabric on this other garment. Like, as long as you can hand us that information and you don't have to have absolutely everything, because we can help coax that out of you as well. If you're stuck on that, then we can go from there.
There's also, I believe Zach's working on getting a development meeting filmed, so you can see what one of them would look like, so you kind of understand what we talk about and why coming prepared to that meeting, knowing what you want, is so important. It's like we always kind of like, it's like a metaphor, right? Like the development meeting is like the blueprint in like of building your house. Development is kind of like putting the walls up, and then production is the roof. So we really have to plan out development.
We have to, like with anything, because you're going to spend a fair amount of money doing this. So we want to spend the time. It's like measure twice, cut once, right? And we want to look at things holistically. Not only what do you want, but what works best for you. You come to us and say, this is my dream, here are all the bells and whistles, this is my target price. And sometimes we have to say, you can't go with this custom option because it's simply going to drive your cost per unit up too high. But here are a bunch of really good in-stock options. So sometimes we have to compromise, but it's really about understanding which parts of that are the most important to you. What are your priorities? And what do we need to hit?
Once a development meeting is scheduled, will you email me what I should come with?
Yeah,
Of course.
even before.
Yeah, so once you would like book a meeting, we try and jump on the phone with you first, like before we set your actual time, just so we can go over what we need to have a successful meeting in one go. Obviously, if it doesn't go successful, we can reset it up, but that's not ideal for either party involved.
Yeah, we want to have things done once. Otherwise, it's just a big waste of time. So we'll get really clear, you'll get really clear, and just like this, any and all questions are welcome.
We're very open, we're very transparent. We love talking to you.
It's kind of very monotone.
Where do you source your materials from? Well, I mean, everything
Everywhere.
is like mostly done in LA, whether that is a 100% made in USA vendor or an import vendor. It's mostly done here. We can do sourcing from overseas, and we're
We don't like to.
Yeah, it's kind of hard, expensive, and Chinese New Year's is coming up, so
Well, it's current right now.
okay, it's here. So if we're doing any sourcing overseas, you probably won't see it till
It takes a lot.
I don't
Look,
know.
for the most, LA has millions of yards of in-stock fabric and an aggressive amount of trim, and for the most part, whatever you need is going to be here, right? And on the sustainability factor of things, we really want to do everything well. Like, you're selling your product here, we want to make your product here and get your product from here. Just like the emissions alone from getting fabric or materials or product from another country to America is outlandish. And so we want to focus not only on getting you a great product, but how do we like reduce our footprint a little bit more, which I know is important to a lot of our brands.
How much time is allotted for the meeting? I'm assuming we're talking about development.
Yeah, the kickoff. Generally, we want to spend about an hour. If it needs to take more, it needs to take more. But we also want to be as efficient as possible.
And then from that meeting, that's when you get the quote for development.
Yeah.
This is a question I got asked. Oh yeah, the development. I didn't really understand it, so maybe you understand. Do you source all the products you sell, and how many manufacturers do you funnel for, if more than one?
Oh, all right. So we don't sell products. You contract us to make your products, and then you sell the product. We make all the products. So there's not like everything is, for the most part, everything is done in-house. There is some stuff like printing and dyeing. We don't really have the demand to justify the hundreds of thousands of dollars in setup and the aggressive learning curve that comes with us. And because we live in LA and we operate in LA, we have these amazing dye houses and print houses that have been doing it for decades. And we've spent the last 6 or 7 years developing those relationships. So we're really close with those guys, and we'll manage all of that for you, but we do some of that stuff through them. But all of our development is done in-house, and for the most part, our production is as well.
Yeah. All right, so we're running out of time here. If you have any questions, send them through. We have one more question we got asked. Can you make me a pattern from a tech pack because I don't have samples and I can't draw?
Yes, it's going to take a long time, but please don't forget, no matter how creative and awesome your product is, at the end of the day, we're not reinventing the wheel. So even if it's a t-shirt with really cool like panels that isn't on the market, it's still a t-shirt. So there's going to be a sample out there that is kind of close to what you're looking for. And you can bring in that sample and say, hey, this is the fit that I want, but these are the changes I want to make. If you're inventing something, that might be a little bit different, but for about 99% of you, that's just not the case.
Definitely. And then just a reminder, we do this every week. Mondays, 3 p.m. Pacific time. This also will be on our YouTube channel, which is great if you haven't checked it out. There's videos of her talking, me talking, Zach talking.
We talk a lot.
Everyone talking.
A lot. If you guys have any other questions, slide into our DMs, shoot us an email, give us a call, and we'll do our very best to get back to you as soon as we can.
Yes.
And if that's everyone, have a great day. Bye.
Bye. We'll see you next Monday.